Hey everybody, John Brenkus here, and welcome to another edition of Sideporch, where we're bringing you the most up-to-date information on COVID-19. Now today we have a very special guest, the CEO of Origin, Robin Smith. Robin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, now talk to us about what is Origin doing today, because you had a very different business model even at the beginning of 2020.
We did. So we are a direct-to-consumer DNA testing business. In early this year, we were kind of cooking away on our DNA testing business around fitness genes, nutrition genes, vitamin and supplement genes. February was the largest month we've ever had. I know late last year, people were talking about the death of the direct-to-consumer genomics industry. We never saw that slow down. We were seeing quite a large volume of sales through our genetic test kits. And then this pandemic hits. And interestingly enough, the way our genetic tests work are very similar to how you would do a clinical diagnostic around COVID-19. COVID-19 is an RNA virus. Maybe not everybody is well aware. And the way real-time RT-PCR works is basically we convert that RNA to complementary DNA, and then we amplify that in just the same way we do for our consumer genomic tests. The lab is right behind me. I'm happy to take everybody for a tour and show them how we do this work.
Yeah, that would be incredible if you could take us for a tour and kind of peel back the curtain and allow us to see how it all works.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'm here to help try to demystify what actually goes on in this testing world and show you how rather simple this whole process really is from an analysis standpoint as well. So
awesome.
Bear with me. I'm going to switch over to my mobile phone.
Hi, I'm here in our laboratory right now. I'm going to walk you through and show you a little bit about how we extract DNA and purify DNA samples. Let me flip the camera around here just a moment. So this instrument you're seeing right here is basically extracting 200 people's COVID samples, 200 patients' COVID samples at one time. It's basically capturing those patient samples with these magnetic beads. And then this instrument is basically a fancy dishwasher that's cleaning out that DNA sample and purifying it for use in our genetic assays.
And Robin, how do you make sure that samples don't get contaminated?
So these samples basically are all barcoded into each well. We also make sure that these samples all have a control sample that's inserted alongside of each one of the runs that are being produced. So there's a human control sample that makes sure that these things are individually, tracked and quarantined from each other.
Awesome. Well, what machine do you have next?
So over here, we have a bay of PCR devices. So these are polymerase chain reaction instruments actually do the detection of the DNA that we are extracting. So on each one of these instruments, we stick in these PCR plates, and these actually have 20 microliters of little sample that's added to these plates, and these instruments read it out like this. So this is just a quick example of what a positive COVID patient actually looks like. So this cartoon representation that you're seeing has 4 quadrants or 4 specific little wells of chemical reactions with assays that are in each one. So in this particular patient sample, you can see there's an N1 probe, an N2 probe, an N3 probe, and an HRP probe. What that means is there's 3 genomic regions for SARS virus, and there's 1 genomic region as a human control. And you can see on this readout that here's those 3 SARS spikes that are happening, and here's the human control piece that's actually amplifying here in this readout. So you can see there's the 3 genomic regions here for SARS virus, and then the human here. Let me show you what an example of somebody that's negative looks like. So if I highlight this, you can see that there's the human response, and then everything else is just down here. So you can see definitely a difference between somebody that's negative for COVID and somebody that's actually positive for COVID right here.
That's incredible. So how do you prevent there from being a false positive, or does a false positive look a certain way, or is false positive exactly what it says? You just test positive one time and then negative the next?
Yeah, so the way our system works is our genomic assays are very specific to the SARS coronavirus 2, SARS-2 coronavirus. So we've tested this against a myriad of different other organisms that are out there in the wild: influenza A, B, MERS, the original SARS virus. So we've run, as part of our FDA EUA validation steps and their review, a whole host of different organisms to make sure that we're only detecting and only amplifying when there's the presence of those 3 genomic regions of SARS coronavirus 2.
So what's the next location in the lab you can take us?
Yeah, so I'm kind of walking through the laboratory here. So this is a series of hoods that we have here. These are all hoods that we use for basically unpacking and doing some cell therapy research and development, as well as getting these things plated up in a kind of safe manner back in the hoods. And from our legacy business, we have a series of these cryopreservation tanks, and these tanks are basically what we store a bunch of human samples in at minus 192 degrees Celsius. And this is from our legacy cell therapy R&D work that we had done with communities around the country.
Wow. And now your lab looks huge. What is the capacity daily?
Yeah, we can run roughly around about 10,000 DNA tests or COVID tests per day through our laboratory. It's a drop in the bucket when you think about the overall capacity that's necessary to help tamp down this disease. But you know, we're here to help, and we turn these things around in about 24 hours as we operate here.
How does that compare to the capacity of your business prior to COVID?
So prior to COVID, we still do that business. So we're still running those samples in our laboratory every day. So this was just an add-on that we've kind of expanded our capacity and our capabilities to meet the demand.
So Robin, this tour has been incredibly interesting and really eye-opening. How can people follow up with you?
Yeah, people can reach us through our email address. So they can reach us at COVID, COVID, at origin.com, ORIG, the number 3 and the letter N.com. They can reach us directly. We've been able to help out a myriad of different communities. We had a program going on where we were doing testing for homeless organizations in Boston. We also service nursing home populations here in Massachusetts. And we also have a big program going on called CHAMP with North Carolina, where we're helping to test about 800,000 people in Eastern North Carolina that don't typically have access to this type of diagnostic testing. So we're really proud to be able to offer that kind of a service.
So why did you decide to, serve, the homeless and, give tests for people who can't afford it, and really extend a service that most people wouldn't be able to afford?
Yeah, I think we've always had this approach to figuring out how do we approach healthcare in a more kind of democratizing way. We founded this company. This is the 4th company I've started. I founded this company because, I was interested in really trying to help do something in healthcare. We weren't quite sure what we were going to do at the time. It was starting in biotech and cell therapies. We've evolved over time and letting people understand a little bit more about themselves with genomics. But we've always had this aspect of how do we help? And in this COVID crisis, here we are. We're sitting on top of this giant lab. We're sitting here with a lot of infrastructure here that we can bring to bear. And it's one of those, why not? We have to do something, and here we are, right?
That's incredible. I really, really appreciate you being so generous and so wise and kind. Thank you so much.
I wouldn't say wise. We're just trying to help here. And we need a lot of help. We're trying to help a lot of others. This is a joint effort here. There's a bubble going on right now. We call it we internally joke and call it the COVID bubble. We need to pierce this. We need to help. This is us with many other companies working together, trying our best. And I don't think we know what the end game of this is going to look like, but we all need to pull together on this. This is critical. This is no joke.
Well, Robin, listen, thank you so much for giving us a peek inside the lab. Incredibly enlightening to myself and I'm sure our audience. Really appreciate it. Keep doing the great work that you are doing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thanks, everyone.